W's. The only way is the right way, I might say. Nobody doing it better, y'all some lightweights. Malik Wright, up all day and all night, pushing all the buttons up to something till it's alright. He looking at it from all sides and angles. Got a stripes on his body like he played for the Bengals. Oh man, there's no one discussing it. They came, they stayed, they either did it or done it. Man, I love it, cause all they ever do is win. So kick back, relax, the TWSN.
Shout out Young Swish.
Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of State of the Jungle with Malik Wright, presented by the Right Way Sports Network. I'm your host, Malik Wright, joined by my co-host as always. We've got Evan McPhillips in the building. Logan is not with us today on the show, but that's all right. We got our other guy on the ones and twos, my best friend. We got Daniel Alameda in the building, and we got a jam-packed show, a lot of stuff to get into, a lot of stuff to talk about. But before we do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or when we upload content from the TWSN studios. Bengals finally get a W on the board. The Bengals finally get a W on the board. The Bengals defeated the Carolina Panthers this past weekend. And, you know, I've given my thoughts already on that game, but I want to give you an opportunity to kind of give your thoughts on the game. I feel like they kind of started off strong, kind of got, I guess, lost their way throughout the game, let the Panthers feel like they had a fighting chance at points in that game when I felt like that game could have been put away a little bit earlier. But what were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, good to see the offense functioning at a high level back-to-back weeks. The passing game carried when the running game was kind of sputtering a little bit at the start there. And then the running game came on strong to try and secure the win and maintain it, right, and maintain the lead. T. Higgins, great to see him get involved. 9 targets, 6 receptions, 60 yards, big-time plays. Zach Moss, man, holy shit. Like, the pass blocking that he had, what he did after the catch, both with the Burrow scramble and also with the end zone scoring on that out route where he had a free defender coming at him, kind of lost his balance, regained it, got into the end zone. Eric All taking over that Drew Sample role a lot quicker than we thought he might. Also just showing off as a receiver, 4 catches on 4 targets for 28 yards, doing a great job there, but also was great on the move as a blocking weapon, and using him pre-snap with motion has really unlocked an element in this Bengals run game where they are able to influence the numbers to their advantage right before the snap, which has really just helped that much more on trying to find open looks, try and get advantageous numbers in the run game. Jamar Chase, dude, like, what more can you say? That's vintage Jamar Chase doing his thing, right? Love to see that. Hopefully T. Higgins being out there, some of these other guys being out there and being more regular weapons, the play action game being such a vital part of things now that teams are selling out a little bit more to stop the run for a Bengals rushing attack that's been one of the better ones in the league, actually. That's definitely made Joe Burrow's play action game more effective, and it's going to give them opportunities to get deep shots to Jermaine Burton and maybe even Chase Brown on post routes that they have him running. And also Jamar Chase, even though he may just end up with those single covered shot attempts that, you know, hey, all right, we see they're in single high this, 5 plays. Those 5 plays, we're going to be looking hard at Jamar on some vertical routes, trying to make things happen. We have seen them do that a little bit. So that was really, really promising to see. Obviously, the defense, there's still some things left to be desired. But at the same time, they did come up with the goal line stop when you needed it to try and build early momentum in the game. They did come up with the tipped interception thanks to Trey Hendrickson. That was another stop. And I think we're getting to the point where we're probably going to need to adjust our expectations, or if they haven't already been adjusted to way down at the bottom, I think we are going to have to adjust our expectations as, hey, the offense is just going to be the juggernaut that we expected it to be for the last couple of years. And now the onus and the responsibility has shifted from the defense to the offense in that regard. And now the defense just has to manage to get 2 or 3 stops and let this offense really carry this team forward to success. I think that's going to be their recipe for success going forward. I don't see many games where this defense is going to be carrying them per se, although they are getting a lot of help back with Miles Murphy, with McKinley Jackson, both practicing in full today, which is really, really encouraging to see. They've also, I want to give Lou credit too, because he did a lot with the scheme. We talked about how the picture was too static versus a lot of different teams this season so far, especially with Jaden Daniels too. It took too long to turn up the pressure in terms of the blitzing, and we saw 3-3-5 looks. We saw linebackers pressed up against the line of scrimmage, dropping out into coverage. We saw him overloading protection with 5 defenders rushing on one side and then dropping 2 out on the other side. So he was really playing with the balance a little bit, changing the picture pre and post snap for Andy Dalton, which was a key to victory for us that we said we needed to make sure the Bengals hit. And they did a good job of changing the picture and throwing out different packages in there. They did try and throw out a couple packages with 3 down defensive tackles. Hopefully now that, BJ Hill and Sheldon Rankins and Chris Jenkins and everyone are getting healthy now, I think those will be more effective than Zach Carter, Jay Tufele, and Lawrence Guy reps. Hopefully that's, something that was just a matter of them being having to deal with injuries at the same time, that personnel will be different. I expect we will see probably a decent amount of that with the Ravens coming to town, about to play them, having that rushing attack, using a lot of 21 personnel, 20 personnel, 12 personnel. They use Patrick Ricard back there in the fullback role. They use both their tight ends, who are excellent blocking tight ends. I think you will probably see them load up, go heavy, try and play more of that, and trust their defensive backs, who have excellent athleticism, to keep up with Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and make the other guys beat them.
Mm-hmm. Look, I agree with you, man. I think that this Bengals game against the Ravens is going to dictate a lot for them. It's going to be huge, right, to see if the Bengals can find a way to kind of get back into this thing, I think first things first, stopping the run is going to be so critical in this game, and I feel like that's obviously a thing we can talk about all day. They can't allow Derrick Henry to get going. They can't allow Lamar Jackson to get going, because that creates hell for them. But I think the biggest thing with this as well, the Bengals can't afford to play from behind. Because when you look at it, if the Bengals are find themselves playing from behind, that's when they get themselves in those situations in which they're not able to pin their ears back. They're not able to, I guess, almost play to the strength of their defense. And I think right now the strength of the Bengals defense is this passing defense. I don't think it is the run defense right now. And even the passing defense leaves a lot to be desired, particularly the performance Cam Taylor-Britt had last week. But I don't want to just single him out. I think that there is something that these safeties could be doing as well to make life a little bit easier on these cornerbacks as well. Being in the right position is right. I feel like we talk about week to week about waiting to see Geno Stone really emerge in this defense, and that's something we just haven't seen just yet. It's getting to the point now. I don't know for you, Ev, where you are with it, but for me, it's like I'm wondering, will it ever happen at this point? Even more so, it's getting to the point for me where I'm like, okay, Jordan Battle gotta we gotta hear his name at some point. Listen, Jordan Battle played both safety spots at Alabama.
Do we want to do we just want to talk about that while we're talking about it?
You could talk about it. I know some stuff. I can't say as much, but yeah.
Here's my thing, right? So like obviously I don't know everything.
Yeah.
You have
I don't know everything.
I know, but you have a lot more information in the background than I do. My issue that I took with Lou's recent comments, right, is just that in a vacuum, if the only reason that we're looking at, and you're saying Jordan Battle's not getting on the field right now, is he started a little slow back in July, that's questionable. That's come on. That's Trent Brown started slow by not even being there. Yeah. Trent Brown started slow in August. All right. So and I know that's not the defense, but I think there were, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate rampantly. I'm just going to say that if that is the only reason that you have, that's a bad reason.
Yeah.
I suspect that there's more that he doesn't want to say. I don't think he wants to, if there is stuff behind the scenes, I don't think he wants to throw Jordan Battle under the bus and be like, yeah, he did this wrong and this wrong and this wrong. I think he'd probably just rather say we're, getting to a point where we feel comfortable, which, I respect him for doing that. I can't believe that the only reason he can't even touch the field for 10 snaps in a game, 15 snaps in a game is he looked a little slow in
Yeah.
July.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I see how that whole thing shakes out. But I'll just say that Jordan Battle played the free safety position at Alabama a little bit as well. Brian Branch was more of that strong safety guy that kind of played in the box. And I think that they both kind of they kind of mixed a lot. And I think that was what made that safety tandem very, very special at Alabama. But make no mistake about it, Jordan Battle is a tone setter. He is a guy that I definitely think could right now help this Bengals defense. Because right now, if I look at it, I feel like this Bengals defense is missing some speed. I think they're missing some physicality. You brought Von Bell back to be the enforcer. He's been anything but that.
Yeah, that was.
I'm starting to see reasons as to why the Panthers let him go at this point. I understand that he was a good player and a great player for this defense back when. I don't know if he's that now. I know that he caught an interception this past week, and that probably absolved him of a lot of people's sins for the last few weeks. Not for me. I still feel like Geno Stone is a safety that's out of the, in the wrong place at the wrong time, quite often, and it's quite honestly very different from what we said he was when the Bengals signed him. We thought we were getting a guy that his ball recognition was extremely underrated. We thought we were getting a guy that was really emerging as one of the top safeties, premier safeties in the league. And now I'm starting to wonder, was everybody, including Patrick Queen, just a merchant of Roquan Smith being an addition to this Baltimore Ravens defense,
and Kyle Hamilton
and him, who made life a lot easier for these guys, because Geno Stone does not look like the same Geno Stone who he was in Baltimore. Patrick Queen does not look like the same linebacker that he was in Baltimore. And I'm just starting to wonder now at this point, because Geno Stone does not seem comfortable in this defense. He quite often is missing tackles. He quite often is not laying the boom. He's not being the enforcer that you would hope that he might have been. And for me, it's just like, I just can't look at it right now and say that there are two safeties right now on this roster that provide more than what Jordan Battle would. I think Jordan Battle's the best safety on the Bengals. I'll say it. I think Jordan Battle's better than Von Bell. I think Jordan Battle's better than Geno Stone. I think Jordan Battle is better than Tyson Anderson. I think Jordan Battle is a guy that could really go out there and help transform this Bengals defense on the back end. If communication is your issue, then fine, have him out there with Von Bell. Let him get his chops ready. But there is no way, shape, or form that both of these guys should be playing over Jordan Battle. And I know people in the organization might not like what I have to say, but I guess what I'll call a spade, Jordan, but you're wasting away talent on your bench right now. You're wasting away talent on your bench right now. That guy is a game changer. He's a game wrecker. And whatever he needs to do to get up to full speed, make it happen. What I can tell you about Lou's comments that he made, that tells me that he's feeling the pressure. Personally, I think Lou's feeling the pressure. I think Lou is almost feeling like he has to play Jordan Battle at this point. And I think Jordan Battle is a lot closer to seeing playing time on the football field than we all might think. So it wouldn't shock me if you saw Jordan Battle out there with more significant snaps this upcoming week. And let me tell you right now, he needs to be out there, because you want to talk about a guy that can tackle. You want to talk about a guy that can hit. That is Jordan Battle. So I think you need a Jordan Battle for this type of game, because I do not want to see Von Bell's arms flailing around. I don't want to see, I guess there's one upside of playing Geno Stone this week, as he practiced against this defense consistently. And that's what you can hang your hat on. But guess what? If Geno Stone ain't even providing you good reps against his former team, which he shouldn't know the ins and outs of, guess what? What is he doing? So, we're expecting Geno Stone to really have his breakout game against his former team in Baltimore this week. If it doesn't happen, I say pull the cord. Daniel, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think from a viewer's perspective, and I think that this is my biggest takeaway, when I watch the games, it's almost like, and with Geno Stone, this is why I find myself being, on some of the deep balls where he's the single high safety or he's the safety over top. It's almost like, well, he shouldn't be able to make that play. That should be on the corner, right? It's like, I don't really think that's his responsibility. Maybe that's not his fault. That's what the safety's job is for, right? That is what your role is. Your role is to make those plays. And he looks like he's almost there. He's the guy, he's right in position. But if Cam Taylor-Britt would have played better coverage, it would have been fine. And that's what my issue is. He's not making game-changing plays. He's not being a game changer. And he's not even doing the job of being the safety over top to stop the big plays. It's like he's just there respectfully. And Malik, to your point about him pulling up on some of these big hits, he had, that one nice hit over the middle. But besides that, a lot of times I don't see sideline to sideline speed. I just see a fine guy. And
I see a body.
I do. And you're right. I think this whole offseason, what the whole discussion was, hey, pre-draft, he wasn't the biggest athlete. He wasn't the fastest guy, but his intelligence was there. His instincts were there. We're not really seeing that, right? We're seeing a guy who last year had, 6 interceptions, a ton of interceptions, and he was in the right place at the right time for those interceptions. But besides that, he was kind of just there. He was just a safety plug, and he's not making any game-changing plays. And also, Honest Fan said, and makes a great point, we have the slowest safety room in the NFL, and it shows on tape. I think he's right. I think maybe not the slowest out of everybody else, but they look slow. They look lethargic, and it's not like you're not making any big time plays. And when you look at other teams, the guys like Kyle Hamilton, obviously he's a freak, but so many other safeties are making big time plays up at the line of scrimmage. Gino's not really doing that. So,
I mean, Gino's not doing, Von's not doing it. I mean,
Yep.
and that Von Bell was a thumper when he was here. He was a guy that really helped set the tone here. And we're just not seeing that right now. And I just think that listen, put your best players out there. Play your best players. Right? Let's not make this thing more difficult than it has to be. If you guys could do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live, when we upload content here from the TWSN studios. Remember, Evan he does his Know Thy Enemy each and every single week. His Know Thy Enemy goes live every single Friday at 7 p.m. where he gets you all set and all caught up for the upcoming game that the Bengals have, where he breaks down the keys to victory. He does a fantastic job of doing so. And, proud of the job that he's been doing. And you guys, we appreciate you guys engaging so much with the awesome content that we've got coming out here as well. Remember that we're doing a giveaway. We're doing a giveaway to Bengals versus Ravens. All you got to do is make sure you're following me. And all you have to do is post your video of your Who Dey chant. The winners will be announced this upcoming Friday at 12 p.m. I see a lot of people liking the post and commenting, but not a lot of people posting their Who Dey video. So again, as it stands, I think only like 5 or 6 people have actually entered in for the contest to win 2 tickets to Bengals versus Ravens. We're also giving away 4 tickets, 2 tickets each to 2 Bengals fans for a chance to hang out with us in our suite for Bengals at Giants MetLife Stadium on Sunday Night Football. If you want to take on New York, make sure you guys go interact with the post. Follow me, follow TWSN, post a screenshot, and those winners will be announced as well, I believe. Daniel, what do we say for that on Friday?
Friday.
Well, the Ravens game will be announced tomorrow, actually.
Yes,
tomorrow. The sweet game will be announced on Friday. So again, make sure you guys go do all that. Tune in for that. We appreciate y'all as well. Let's jump into it. Listen, the Bengals are taking on the Ravens this week. It's a big game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big game. It's a huge game. If it was any bigger, it would be on Sunday. And guess what, Evan? It's on Sunday. And so we got to ask the question, will the Bengals upset the Ravens? Because you got to believe everybody is expecting the Baltimore Ravens to steamroll the Bengals. Everybody is expecting for the Ravens to go out there and basically put the Bengals season to bed. That's what they're expecting. A lot of people are expecting that. We got people in the comment section before the show even starts posting Lamar coming. I'm really curious to hear what your thoughts are, Evan, and where you stand and where Daniel stands with this whole thing. Do the Bengals upset the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday? I know Evan's got to be hoping for it because it's birthday weekend for him, isn't it, Evan?
It is.
So you got to be hoping for a victory for the Bengals this weekend. But what are your thoughts on this game?
I think that the Bengals are uniquely designed on offense to beat the Ravens defense the way it is right now. But I think that's also could be said vice versa of the Baltimore offense right now versus the Bengals defense. I think it's going to come down to which of those can hold out. And if the Bengals can maintain the offensive efficiency they've had the last 2 weeks in terms of their offensive output, I think the Ravens are going to have a perfect game running the ball, which we know passing the ball and running the ball, passing the ball leads to more explosives, gives you more kind of leeway. You have to be more perfect when you're running the ball to not get put behind the sticks on 2nd and 12 and have a bad run. You're not going to fumble it in the game. You're not going to get holding calls. You're not going to have false starts and issues that put you behind the sticks that then you have trouble leaning on the run, right? You have less margin for error. You have to be more perfect. Obviously, the Bengals defense, especially their run defense, has not been great, but they are getting a lot of reinforcements there on the defensive line this week. McKinley Jackson, BJ Hill, Miles Murphy, and we'll wait and see on what's going on with Sheldon Rankins. But that's obviously you're taking 3 practice squad guys off the field and putting actual NFL starters there. I think looking at the cornerback room, we know Marlon Humphrey, Roll Tide, very talented corner in his own right. Jamar Chase has gotten the better of him in quite a few of their matchups. And when you look at the other guys, and Brandon Stevens, who is a very solid run defending corner and has held his own out there. Nate Wiggins, who is undersized. I know the Baltimore Ravens, I think, listed him at like 6 foot 180. I doubt it. There is a size advantage to be taken advantage of for the Bengals when you're talking Andre Yoshivas, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase with his size built like a running back. You have a distinct size advantage. And also, you brought up Roquan was playing like out of his mind elite, and so was Kyle Hamilton last year. Well, Baltimore defense is only 20th in terms of EPA per play this year. They're 19th in EPA per drop back allowed, going up against the Bengals offense that's one of the best in terms of drop back points per EPA per drop back. So you've got a Baltimore secondary that has largely struggled and is playing below average right now in terms of the numbers and expected points added. And Kyle Hamilton has been still good. And so has Roquan, but they have struggled a little bit. Roquan has allowed 14 of 19 targets to be completed for 13 yards per reception and a 49.6 coverage grade. To his credit, that the 3 of the 5 targets that haven't been completed have been a pick and a pass breakup, but that's not the level Roquan was playing at last year. He was not 49.6 coverage grade last year. Kyle Hamilton, absolute crazy versatile chess piece, super talented player. This year, he hasn't quite had the same dominant elite showing that he's had, which we know when you're playing in the secondary, that's tough to do year to year. He's second on the team in 21 tackles and has produced 4 pressures, but he's also missed 6 tackles, and he's 52nd out of 66 safeties in missed tackle percentage, and he's also 48th in passer rating allowed when targeted. So you can take advantage of this secondary. Looking at the other safety, Marcus Williams, like, he is looking like Von Bell right now to the terms of like, hey, it's year, I think, 8 for him. And he is 63rd out of 67 safeties in passer rating when targeted and 58th in coverage grade, 64th in overall grade. He has been putrid this season, has absolutely been able to be picked on. So when you say, hey, we've got a size advantage on a lot of these cornerbacks, hey, if you get them in individual spots, we feel really good about where we're at with our tight end matchups on these linebackers right now with Trenton Simpson in this first full year of starting, still trying to get his feet under him. Roquan Smith struggling a little bit out of the gate in terms of coverage. The Bengals have the weapons to take advantage of all of these things. The safety struggling on the deep end. The Bengals have shown that they have the explosive plays out of both play action, empty, 12 personnel. They've shown that they can get explosive plays out of a lot of things. So I just think the Bengals offense matches up very well to hit the Baltimore defense where it hurts. Now, again, I said the same thing about the Baltimore offense and the Bengals defense, and we can talk more about that. But did you want to add your thoughts on the Bengals offense versus the Baltimore defense?
You know what? I'm gonna let Daniel do that because I got a lot more I want to touch on real quick, and I kind of want to hear what both of you guys gather up before I go on my long, give my long monologue, if you will.
Yeah. All right. So I think, Evan brought up some great points. So just look in their defense. I wrote about how the Ravens, looked after week 1 on the TWSN website. And then even just recently, right? And the number one thing, you go look at what is killing the Ravens. It's not the running backs. And you go look at every running back, they've held every single running back under 45 yards.
They are, I'm sorry, I'd jump in, first in rush success rate allowed in the NFL right now and 8th in EPA per rush. So that just lends itself more to what you're saying, where they're very good against the run, but they can be taken advantage of in terms of coverage.
And I mean, we're talking Pacheco, 45 yards, Zamir White, 24 yards, Rico Dowdle, 30 yards, James Cook, 40 yards. They're not allowing a lot. And I think that goes to show what type of defense that they are. And when I went back and rewatched them, I saw also the tight ends thrived. And you would think that that would be the opposite end because you have Kyle Hamilton. And to your point, I went back and rewatched Hamilton. And what I'm seeing from Hamilton, I think he's elite at the line of scrimmage. He's elite as a chess piece. But if you've got two tight ends on the field, and especially if you got one split out wide, that's something that the Cowboys did a lot. They put Jake Ferguson out wide, and then what happens? You have a cornerback on him, or you have the outside, you got Marcus Williams, or you got a linebacker. And so many times you see that have serious success. You look at Dalton Kincaid last week, had some success against the Ravens. And I think that's where you got to target. And the Bengals are pretty much set for that. You got Eric All, you got Mike Gesicki. I think it's a big, big, big tight end game for the Bengals because that's where you got to target. And then to your point, Evan, about the wide receivers, I think Jamar Chase has a perfect matchup in this, right? You go look at what CeeDee Lamb did. He had a fine game. Rashee Rice had a good game. Where I'm targeting for this, and this is one of my biggest gripes with them, and this is something that the Cowboys did, put Jamar Chase in the backfield, have Jamar Chase, in motion, because that a lot of times also the Cowboys did that twice. They did the out of the backfield, had him just run a little, find the soft spot in the zone. CeeDee Lamb got 35 yards off of those. So I think with Jamar Chase, you're going to have one-on-one opportunities, and you're going to have to scheme up some stuff for your number one wide receiver, Jamar Chase. So those are my two biggest keys from the offense side of things. And when I look at, or I've even got one other point, and this is what irritates me and just frustrates me as a Bengals fan because I see it open, I see it work so much, is the middle of the field work for the Bengals. Joe Burrow, by far his best throw of the year so far, was the Yoshi Voss throw this past week. Up the seam, in between three defenders, it was an absolute dot. That's pretty much, I think that's Burrow's best throw, right? You go look at last year, 2 years ago. Last year, he had a couple of seam routes to the tight end. That's where you got to work, in my opinion. And the Ravens, what they do a lot, they do run a lot of cover two, over the top. And what's open in that, it's the middle of the field. So I think if I'm the Bengals offensive coordinator, if I am Zach Taylor drawing up plays, and if I'm Joe Burrow specifically, I'm looking at the middle of the field. I'm looking to target whether it's Mike Gesicki up the seam, Jamar Chase, even Yoshi Voss thrives in the middle of the field. But I think, like you said, Evan, this Ravens defense can be beat. And it really just comes down to the Bengals. Hey, and Joe Burrow's got to play a great game. He does, because from what I'm looking at, it's not going to be a run-heavy game. And Joe Burrow, you're playing your ass off right now. So I'm excited about that. And then one last point I've got is I think the Bengals, one of the biggest weapons that they have to look after is Justice Hill. Justice Hill has surprised the hell out of me. He has taken the league by storm this year. And I think that the Bengals, you cannot be caught off guard by Justice Hill. He is one of the best at breaking tackles, and he is an absolute threat in the receiving game as well. So Justice Hill, I would not be shocked if he has a big game. And if I'm Lou Anarumo, I am looking at him as one of the X factors of this offense. And it sounds weird, a backup running back, but he has been so damn good this year. And I can easily see a world where they got two running backs in the backfield, Derrick Henry, Justice Hill. Watch out for the screen game. And him outside of the tackles, he has been a stud this year. So if I'm the Bengals defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo, I'm saying, hey, Justice Hill is one of my X factors that I'm looking at.
That's a great point, Daniel, because actually in the last game, Justice Hill played 20 snaps and he received a touch on 10 of those 20 snaps. Everything else was pass blocking. So you talked about the screen game. The screen game has been a lot of where they were surviving. I think Lamar only had 3.5 yards per attempt on average versus the Cowboys. And part of that and part of the Bills game too is they were, playing with the lead. They're playing safe. They're doing play action screen stuff, mainly running the ball, finding a lot of success there. But that is definitely something where the Baltimore passing game is limited. Mark Andrews has, we haven't really talked about the offense. I'll just go ahead and transition into that. Mark Andrews has gone missing. He's on a milk carton, man. 35th out of 54 tight ends in receiving grade, 36 in yards per route run, 44th out of 54 in drop percentage. That's not the Mark Andrews we know. Bengals fans know Mark Andrews used to be good for, 8 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown or two, right? He is still a great run blocker, though, and that's where he's really excelled for them, as Isaiah Likely has taken on more of the receiving role. Actually, Mark Andrews is 4th among tight ends in run blocking and 1st in run blocking on zone concepts. And second place in that is Isaiah Likely, who is also 1st in PFF run block grade. So you have two of the best run blocking tight ends in the NFL with one of the best running backs and one of the best running quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, averaging 7.5 yards per attempt. You are really going to want to suffocate this running game. You are going to want to play. Now, I would generally not advocate for this in the modern NFL, but you are not going to want to play nickel as your base. You're going to want to play 4-3, 5 down D linemen, you are going to want to sell out to stop the run and then lock these tight ends up. Isaiah Likely's third in yards per out run out of tight ends. He's second in PFF receiving grade. Like I said, Mark Andrews has not done much. So if you're watching for these short passes, for these screens, you're playing with your hair on fire, coming underneath, watching for Isaiah Likely, you're going to force them to then have to go, we have to pivot. We have to throw it to Isaiah Flowers, to Rashad Bateman. And both of those guys, while talented players in their own right, have not, that entire part of their passing game has been defunct. It just has not worked like it was supposed to be. Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman are both in the 60s out of 90 receivers in yards per route run, PFF receiving grade, passer rating when targeted. They just have not found a way to effectively use their receivers outside of the screen game. So if you can shut down the screen game, shut down their running game, sell out to be short, and just try and generate all the pressure you can, send blitzes, make Lamar beat you by throwing the ball to the wide receivers and lock those tight ends up. I think that's going to be your game plan to stopping a Ravens offense that has been top 5 in EPA per drop back, first in EPA per rush, first in yards per play on early downs. That's the way I think you're going to end up being.
So let me ask you this, Evan. Selling out to stop the run, is that something that you would advise for the Bengals to really hone in on, because that's what Baltimore
for this game
to do.
yes.
For this game, right?
Only for this game. This is a one-time ticket.
Right.
I'm writing you guys. You go ahead, you cash it, you take it. All right.
Sell it right, and you'd hope with the new, well, not new, but the added additions of McKinley Jackson and Miles Murphy, you'll start to see some more juice on the defensive line side of things.
I don't expect them to play much, particularly McKinley Jackson. I know Miles Murphy talked about, they talked with him about a pitch count, so maybe he's only out there like Chris Jenkins was for like 20, 25 snaps his first game. But that's also the spot where it's going to be crucial that they take advantage, because Ronnie Stanley on the other side against Trey Hendrickson has been one of the best pass blocking tackles in the NFL. He's top 5 in pass block efficiency this year. But the other side, Patrick McCarry, he has been the one you can take advantage of. I believe he was, let me check my notes. Offense. There we go. He is 41st out of 52 offensive tackles in pass block efficiency. So that is the key spot where you're going to beat their offensive line. Now, I do think those numbers are a little bit inflated because they do so much play action and so much screen game that those are a lot of pass blocking snaps where you're not really doing true pass sets because you aren't drop back and passing. So I think they're a little protected by that. But when I say sell out to stop the run, part of the reason I say that so much is because such a predominant part of the Ravens passing game, I would say 60, 70% of it, maybe more, 80% is play action and screen game with your running backs, with your wide receivers, short game. So when you're selling out to stop the run, when you're shading underneath coverage, when you're getting up at the line of scrimmage and kind of clouding all that up, you get opportunities to make picks. You get opportunities to bat balls down. You get opportunities to where they throw it a little bit too far back and now it's not an incomplete pass. That's a live ball, right? You introduce that variance a little bit, and you don't have necessarily the same downfield threat to make you pay for that run defense, to make you pay for loading the line of scrimmage in the box as much as other teams do. And I think that's what it is. It's going to be, hey, if you want to beat us, you're going to have to beat us going one-on-one with DJ Turner and Zay Flowers down the field. Talk about another great matchup there, DJ Turner. Oh, what's the problem? Size and length? How about we match him up on a guy who's not very long and very tall, right? Like, yeah, he's quick. Okay, so is DJ Turner. Great matchup for that guy. I love that in a one-on-one situation. If you got to blitz everybody and say, hey, let Dax Hill wrap everybody, wrap up Rashad Bateman, let DJ Turner go ahead and handle Zay Flowers, because we love that matchup.
Right. Now, for me, I have a couple of keys that I think would behoove the Bengals to sort of follow, Daniel, and everybody else to really lock in on when it comes to this upcoming game against the Baltimore Ravens. I want to run them by you real quick. We need to see more of Chris Jenkins this game. I think Chris Jenkins is a guy that has proven that with more snaps. I think the returns have been early returns have been very positive. And I think with you getting BJ Hill hopefully back into the fold, McKinley Jackson on a snap count, Miles Murphy, even saw them sprinkling in Sam Hubbard more on the interior of the defensive line. I think that can result in some success for you. I also love the idea of Sam Hubbard on the inside for this game, especially with that length, that size, really just clogging up the middle. Even if he's not able to generate the pass rush on a guy like Lamar Jackson, being able to get those hands up when Lamar Jackson is trying to throw down those clean passing lanes, really muddy the waters and change up the looks on a guy like Lamar Jackson. That's one of my keys to victory for the defense. Keeping it going. We kind of talked about it already. Stop the run, obviously. Sell out, stop the run. Force Lamar Jackson to throw these throw to his weapons. Ideally, his wide receivers this game. You got to feel good about those matchups. Zay Flowers is a very talented wide receiver for them, but I still feel like that's something you want to go with. Blitz is your friend. Blitzing is your friend
Amen.
this game. Blitzing is your friend this game. If you feel like you can't generate pass rush on a guy like Lamar Jackson by letting him sit back out there, then use some of these guys, some of these weapons that we talk about, like a Mike Hilton, like a Jordan Battle, to your disposal, if you will, and try to heat Lamar Jackson up. Try to make life difficult for a guy like Lamar Jackson. One thing you can't do is sit back and let Lamar Jackson have all day to throw, have all day to get comfortable, have all day to sit still and just be, great. Blitz is your friend this game, Luan Rumo, even though I know you like to really rely on your effective rushers. Now let's go over to the offense really quickly. I've got some keys for the offense that I think that the offense really needs to follow. This is for Joe Burrow. Trust your protection. Stop exiting the pocket early. Stop getting happy feet in the pocket. Trust your guys that this team has put out there for you. I understand. Listen, I'm your therapist right now. I understand life has been hard on you in the past. I understand that you have trust issues, but guys like Amarius Mims, guys like Orlando Brown have been playing their behind off. Like Zach Taylor said, Orlando Brown is playing like one of the better left tackles in football right now. He's playing some really, really elite football. You have to trust your weapons. You got to like what you've seen so far from Cordell Volson. You got to like what you've seen from guys like Alex Kappa. You got to like what you've seen from Ted Karras. Right now, I know we've said it before, this is going to be the best offensive line Joe Burrow's played behind. No, this truly is the best offensive line Joe Burrow has played behind. Last game, he had all day to throw. He didn't even get so much as breathed on. Joe Burrow did not get touched last week. He didn't get sacked last week. That's what this offensive line is doing for you, Joe. So I understand, again, life has been hell since you came to Cincinnati, but you finally have the reinforcements. You finally have the help up front to finally lean on those guys when you need those guys. And right now, guess what? You can sit back there and finally dish it out to your playmakers. So again, Joe Burrow, trust your protection. Trust your protection. Say it with me, guys. Trust your protection. You guys say it with me, please. Trust your protection, right?
And your tight ends and your running backs.
And wait, I'm going to go somewhere with that, right? It's like a guy, that's at a party, hanging out with his girlfriend, he brings condoms with him. Trust your protection. You understand what I'm saying? No, but we're going to keep it going. This is for Joe Burrow. Trust your weapons. Trust your weapons not named Jamar Chase. Can we say that again? Trust your weapons, not named just Jamar Chase. It's okay to throw to the other guys, because last week what I saw a guy willing to forsake his other weapons to try to force the ball to Jamar Chase. And if you do that, that will get you in trouble at some point in this league. You don't believe me? Ask Andy Dalton when he used to stare down AJ Green. Trust your other weapons. You had an easy receiving touchdown right in your hands to give to Mike Gesicki, yet and still you chose, let me check it down, to Zach Moss. And if it wasn't for Zach Moss simply falling, that would have been a stop. That would have been we wouldn't have time to have run another play because we ran out of timeouts. So again, trust your other weapons. Trust T. Higgins. I've never known Joe Burrow to stare down receivers, but for some reason he had the case of the yips last week where he was staring down guys. That worked against the Carolina Panthers. It won't work against the Baltimore Ravens. It won't work against some of these upper echelon teams. Trust your weapons, not only Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is an elite player. Jamar Chase, in my opinion, is one of the better receivers in the league, if not the best receiver in the league. But trust your other guys. That's what you have them for. Trust a Jermaine Burton. Trust a Andre Yosivas, even though he hasn't shown you the ability to extend plays or really extend the field, if you will, on deep balls. Trust your other guys. Coaching staff. Get Mike Gesicki involved in the game. We keep saying it week after week. The guy had mismatch after mismatch. Listen, he had Shaq Thompson on him. If you see Mike Gesicki lined up in the slot with a linebacker on him or a slot cornerback with no safety help, you take that shot. Trust Mike Gesicki. Put him in the game. I understand that you gave him a pass last week and he got tackled for, behind. I guess he had a loss of yards, whatever the case may be. But you have to get that guy involved in the game. What did you sign him for? You're using him right now like New England used him. Mike Gesicki is a mismatch. Use your weapons. Mike Gesicki should be in the game in the red zone. And I saw one of our YouTube commenters saying, Malik, you keep hammering the table saying Mike Gesicki. But the simple fact is, Eric All is better than Mike Gesicki. Eric All blocks better than Mike Gesicki. Let me just say this real quick. Mike Gesicki was not brought to Cincinnati for his blocking ability. Mike Gesicki was brought to Cincinnati for his mismatch and his receiving ability. He has the second best hands on the team. He's a guy that needs to be involved. There's no comparing him and Mike and Eric All, because in my opinion, even though it says their positions right next to him, guess what? Mike Gesicki plays a different position than Eric All. Mike Gesicki is a truly receiving threat. He's a guy that can stretch the field. He's a guy that can win the 50-50 balls. And I felt like that person that was commenting was diminishing Mike Gesicki's skills to just saying he's a jump ball receiver. That's not true. Mike Gesicki he does have run after the catch ability. He can extend the field for you. He can make life difficult on defenses and stress out the secondaries. Utilize that guy. Make that guy a weapon, especially when you get within your opponent's 30-yard line. 100% that guy should not come off the field. Mike Gesicki needs to play a pivotal role going forward, especially in these red zone packages. Get Mike Gesicki involved. So Joe Burrow, trust your weapons. Get Mike Gesicki involved. Here's my last one. Chase Brown. Let's get Chase Brown involved early and often, okay? Zach Moss, we like him. We've seen what he's got. But Chase Brown adds an extra lightning punch to this team that is very, very evident when he's out there in the field. Chase Brown should be getting touches in the run game. Chase Brown should be getting touches in the pass game. Get Chase Brown involved in the game. So, again, let me read you over Malik's keys to victory and things he wants to see from this Bengals team. Chris Jenkins needs to play more. Mike Gesicki needs to be involved in the game plan, especially in the red zone. Joe Burrow, trust your protections. Bengals, stop the run. Joe Burrow, trust your weapons, not just named Jamar Chase. Get Chase Brown involved early and often. And Lou Anarumo, blitz is your friend. That's Malik's keys to victory. Daniel, what say you?
I'm with you. I think that a lot of the keys that you brought up were great points, and probably the best point that I think you brought up is Joe Burrow has to trust his weapons. And when I went back and just go look at what he's done against the Ravens, it typically is, more of a, hey, slow start of a trust your weapons. And the reason why I think trusting your weapons is so important is it helps you get in a rhythm. And that'll, coincide with some of our bets later on for this game. But when Joe Burrow attacks short at the beginning of the game, whether it's quick screens, whether it's hitting your tight ends, I think that's going to be the game plan. And that typically is how the Bengals work, right? Is the quick, and you get one big play. That's how they work. And I think that's what you're going to be seeing a lot. And you have to trust your weapons. So I thought that was an amazing point that you brought up. And I think everybody on the team, all the weapons, they've looked good. You look at other weapons on other teams, I'm not as confident in more than 5 other teams that they have better weapons than the Bengals do right now. And I think there's just a confidence. Obviously, I'm not inside the Cincinnati Bengals locker room, but there seems to be a confidence in their weapons. T. Higgins had a great game last week. Jamar Chase finally hitting his stride. And you look at Eric All, Mike Gesicki. They've got so many different weapons that they can utilize. And the Chase Brown point you brought up, I would definitely be looking at him in the screen game. I think you got to get him involved in the pass game. And I think the Bengals are going to see a lot of success. I think for as much of a divisional game this is, I do think we see a lot of points in this game. I do think that this is a higher scoring game. I think this could get up into the 50s. It's a 1 p.m. game. Hopefully it's going to be sunny here in Cincinnati. And I think that the way that the Ravens win this game is simply controlling the clock with the rushing game. I don't see another way that they win. And I think that this Bengals team, obviously Joe Burrow talked about playing a perfect game. Obviously, you're never going to play a perfect game, but I'm confident this offense to not make major.
Jaden Daniel says otherwise.
Yeah, no,
Jared Goff says otherwise.
Yeah, no, you're right, Jared. Yeah, you're right. It's a divisional game,
but you're right. It's AFC North. You're 100% right. We're just
no, completely.
Yeah, those are way different drop back passing games.
Completely. So my overall takeaway when I look at this game is play turnover-free football. And I really struggle. Like you look at that Commanders game, that was history, right? That was the first game where there was 0 punts and 0 turnovers. I've got a feeling that we are going to see some turnovers. And once again, that's how the Bengals defense always plays. Look at last week. It was, you got the turnover. And if you didn't get that turnover, it's a lot closer of a game. So be opportunistic on the defense side. And I've got a feeling if the Bengals offense plays turnover-free football, I think we'll be looking at a W.
I agree. If you guys could do us a huge favor, we got over 150 people watching live right now. We only got 28 likes on the video. Do us a favor, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you're here for the first time. We appreciate you guys supporting each and every single week. Tuning in to State of the Jungle each and every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. and making us a part of your daily Wednesday routine. Remember, I'm live almost every single day outside of Wednesday in the mornings for the sit-down morning show with Malik Wright. Tomorrow I'll be live again at 10 a.m. Getting you all caught up for NFL. What is this, week 5? Week 5 of the NFL, man. This is
It's
crazy.
cruising.
Man, it blows by fast.
Mhm.
So we appreciate y'all for tuning in, and I'll be joined by Parker Blake talking more NFL action, getting you guys all caught up for NFL Week 5 and talking about some of our favorite games as well as Thursday Night Football. So again, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you. Let's get over to some of our bets, Danny. I'm gonna let you take it away really quickly. What are some of your favorite bets? I know all the props aren't necessarily up right now, but do you have a bet or two that you like for this game that you're going to be watching?
I have multiple, to be honest with you. I've got multiple, and I do have an under on the Bengals. That's probably my favorite bet. But first off, when I look at this, I'm going to be looking, the props aren't up yet, but I am definitely going to be looking at Eric All's receptions. If it's up, he's had 4 receptions in each of the past 4 games, and his line was at 1.5 last game. I'm very confident. I hope it's at 1.5. If it's even at 2.5, I think that I would be looking at that because, like we discussed, and I'll read off some of these numbers right now, but the Ravens have been getting killed by tight ends, right? You go look at Dalton Kincaid, 5 receptions for 47 yards. You look at Jake Ferguson, 6 receptions for 95 yards on 11 targets. Brock Bowers, 9 receptions for 98 yards. And Noah Gray, obviously Kelsey was the focal point for that defense, but Noah Gray had 3 receptions for 40 yards. So I'm going to be looking at both Eric All and Mike Gesicki, but right away, Eric All's receptions is the one I'd be looking at. And if anything for Mike Gesicki, I'd probably be looking at yards, but that's my first bet will be an Eric All. My second one, I'm going to be looking at on the Ravens side. If you want to take something, take Justice Hills over rushing and receiving yards. It's not a lot. I think it's at 39.5. He's a guy like Evan discussed earlier, he's always on the field. And I mean, listen, you can get that either way. That can be from a screen, that can be in the rushing game. And it's not like he's a slouch as a rusher. So I think 39.5 yards is an absolute steal. And if I'm taking one on the Bengals side, I will be looking at Joe Burrow passing props and Jamar Chase. I think those are the 2 other realms to target. But the under is Zach Moss. I think under 45.5 is a terrible line right now. The reason why Zach Moss has had a lot of rushing yards, you go look at first off the game script, right? He had 15 rushes last week. That was in a positive game script. They faced the Patriots and they faced, the Commanders and it was more of a back and forth, but I don't think he's going to have 45 yards. Not a single running back this year has had 45 yards against the Ravens. And especially after last week, you saw what Chase Brown did. I think there's a real possibility where we do see a slight shift from Zach Moss receiving 65% of the rushes to more of a 50-50 split with Chase Brown. So Zach Moss, I do like his under 45.5 yards. Evan,
Okay.
Evan, you got any plays or any matchups that you like?
No,
in general
not
for
any
this?
props, but I think I think Derrick Henry's rushing total was at like 70. I'm probably just gonna, if you parlay that with like Derrick Henry anytime touchdown, you're probably playing with house money there. I feel like that's a pretty good one to go with. Lamar's averaging 7 yards an attempt. I'd be interested to see what his prop lands at. I like your Justice Hill. Like you said, when they put him on the field, they have a plan to get him the ball a lot of times. 10 touches on 20 snaps. That shows that he is a big part of their offense aside from Derrick Henry. That would probably be it. There's so much volatility with the Ravens passing game that outside of the rushing game, I wouldn't feel great about doing anything. I love the Eric All receptions prop.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most one that
I've
you're
been
looking
killing
at.
that lately
I know.
because listen, Vegas, hey Vegas, here's your friend here, Malik. You keep setting Eric All's receiving prop at 1.5. I don't think you guys will do it this week. You probably set it at 2.5, and I'll gladly take it. But you know whose prop you are going to set low that I think will actually play a focal point in this game? Mikey G. So, I'm going to be going back to Mike Gesicki's receiving prop this game, Vegas. So I appreciate you guys. If you guys can continue to set it at 1.5 or 0.5.
I'm staying away from the rushing props this week.
Yeah.
Maybe under on the Chase Brown rushing yards if you think that, and maybe he goes over on receiving yards. So I'd stay away from like the rushing receiving aspect. But if you wanted to go under on rushing yards, just because people are probably looking, Vegas is trying to play the market, right? They're trying to get even money. So they're probably going to jack that line up for him, thinking people are going to go, oh, well, he had 50 yards and 2 touchdowns last week, and he's going to get more work this week. If they put his line anywhere at like 55, 60, I'm probably taking that.
You were saying
under.
Chase Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why, honestly, I like the Zach Moss one. I don't think like 45.5. And I'm riding with the numbers on that. I look at Pacheco, Zamir White. Those guys all got 14 to 15 rushes. I don't know if Zach Moss gets up to
The
15
Bengals
rushes.
were also winning the game for a large portion of the
Yes.
game, which again leads to more rush attempts. I don't think I don't think the Bengals run the ball 30 times versus the Ravens. That would be silly when, again, everything matches up, says you should be passing against this team and what they are.
I think
right
the
now.
tight ends of the Bengals are going to play a focal point.
Yes.
And you know what? I got a secret to tell you. I do this every single week. Daniel knows this already. I put $100 on Jermaine Burton's receiving touchdown. I do. I do. It's going to break
At
loose
some
one
point, you're going to make money.
You want to know why? Because it's 16. It's like 1,600, 1,900 plus 1,900 plus 1,600. It's going to happen at some point. He's going to emerge in this offense because I feel like while Yoshi Voss has done well in the red zone, I feel like there's a little bit of missing when it comes to that third receiver and that guy that's also being able to take the top off the defense. And we've seen some spots. We've seen them. It's like the Bengals are teasing it. It's almost like when, you're waiting for that movie to come out and that they have the trailer for you. It's like they just keep teasing Jermaine Burton. They're, a good friend of ours, a good friend of mine, Benjamin Solak, he was posting a couple of clips of Jermaine Burton absolutely burning a defender on a post route and had Joe Burrow just let it go. I mean, obviously the NFL is the NFL. You got to give, a guy might not always be wide open, but a guy's open. Listen, that's a prop that I will always continue to sprinkle money on, even if it's just $10, 100. Well, for me, it's $100. I'll sprinkle that on a guy like Jermaine Burton to finally break through at some point, because I think it is going to happen. I feel like the Bengals are just putting it out there just to see how he fares, see how, let him get his feet wet, let him get comfortable. But right now they only have the touchdown props. I think Lamar Jackson does score though himself. I think Lamar Jackson does score against the Bengals this week as well. And I know that's sitting at plus 150.
Yeah, I like that. And even if we want to go a step further with that, plus 150, I think is a great price for Lamar. It's actually at plus 175 too on DraftKings. I wouldn't be shocked if, the Ravens come out and score first. You hope the Bengals do. Another one I really like is give me Joe Burrow's over completions. That's something what we've seen a lot, so far this year against the Ravens is a lot of the dink and dunk stuff. You look at obviously different game scripts, but the Cowboys game, Dak, I think, had 25 to 30 total pass completion. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes. Joe Burrow tends to play that more conservative style at the beginning of the games. I think we'd see that line probably around 23, 24 and a half. And so far this year, Joe Burrow's done a very good job of hitting it. He's got 22, 29, 23. And if we see anything around there, I think Joe Burrow goes at least 25 completions, a lot of quick passes, tight ends, screen game, get Jamar Chase in the wide receiver screens. And I think that's going to be something where you're going to be early in the fourth quarter saying, damn, he already has 24 completions. All right, there you go. So I like that. And like I said, I think that I would also take the over on the game. I think we see points.
Tyrone Thomas, our guy. I haven't seen Tyrone in the comment section in a while. Appreciate you, man. It's good seeing you, bro. By the way, do us a favor, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel while y'all are here. Also, start dropping your comments in your questions, your thoughts, your comments in the comment section. We'll try our best to get to as many of them as possible. But Tyrone Thomas, I haven't seen you here in a while, my man. It's good seeing you, brother. He says, let me see if I found it. He says, Burrow remembers the disrespect the fans showed him when he got hurt last year. Also, remember, he was cooking before that happened. I do think Joe Burrow does remember that. I remember the cheering, apparently. There was a lot of cheering when it came to Baltimore once Joe Burrow got hurt. And as our guy, the W always says, Lamar's coming. Joe Burrow's coming. Joe Burrow's coming. We're excited for that game. We're pumped up for that, man. We're pumped up to be facing y'all. It's just gonna be a good matchup. It's I think this could be the game where the Bengals have the chance to do the funniest thing. The Bengals have the chance to do the funniest thing right now. And that funny thing is, everybody I talk to says the Ravens are going to dissect the Bengals. The Ravens are going to run on the Bengals. The Bengals have the funniest thing to do, and that's go out there and just remind in the NFL world that, hey, we're still here. And I think that'll be the funniest thing because I think a lot of people are writing the Bengals off. And I think that they should take this as a challenge. This is the opportunity to do something really, really special. You win this game, you'd be sitting at 2-3. And then if you go out right after that, me and the boys will be traveling to MetLife. And then, you get a chance to go against the Giants, potentially do that, and you'd be 3-3. You're sitting good. You're sitting good. But what do I always say, Ev? Got to cut your own grass before you cut your neighbors, before you think about the next game. Why you always laugh at me when I say that? Well, that's a true saying. You have to cut. You have
You'd
to
be
take
doing,
care
doing
of.
a lot of work for free out
Listen,
here for your neighbors, man.
Listen,
Jeez.
you have to take care
In
of
this
business
economy,
at home.
free long
No, but
cutting
hear
in
me
this
out.
economy.
Take care of business at Paycor. Take care of business in your division before you worry about the Giants. That's what you got to do.
Yep.
It's the opportunity to do something special. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think, and this is maybe I'm sounding a little dramatic. This is the turning point of the season, and I really don't see a world where it goes the other way. And I hate to sound this drastic about one specific game, about the outcome of one specific game. On the negative side, if you go 1-4, that it is a long road back, right? Even if you,
Long
it
and
is.
winding road. Yeah, it would
Honestly,
be tough.
I don't
It
even
would
know
be
what that
tough.
song is.
That's the
Long
Beatles.
way home.
He doesn't
At
know
the end of the road.
That's a different song.
Yeah, no, it's Wiz Khalifa.
I know that
or
one.
or
I know that
that's,
one.
that's Machine Gun Kelly.
Wow, who sings
my
Machine
bad.
Gun Kelly? What the hell?
No. What you were singing the
Yeah.
Beatles?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was
wouldn't
thinking.
know.
He was. I don't know
Yeah.
nothing about the Beatles.
Listen, man, Bengals got to protect the jungle, man. They gotta
Hey,
do it
y'all
in a
are
big
asking
way.
questions down there. Someone asked me and Malik about Ryan Williams.
So let me just say this. I don't give a piss about none but the Tide, as my guy was saying in the comment section the other day. God, family, and none but the Tide. Listen, how about Alabama?
Oh, that man walked out there with the kill everybody eye black, and he really fucking
Man,
did it.
how
Oh,
about
God damn,
Alabama?
dude. Oh.
Everybody wrote us off, and guess what? You know what, man? We stayed about ourselves. We kept it within the four walls, and we did what we had to do. That was a huge win for Kellen DeBoer.
That was
victory.
big win.
Huge
big win.
victory for Milrow. But how about Ryan Williams, man? Is he the best receiver in the country?
Oh,
Listen, that kid
man.
from Ohio State's pretty good. I can't lie.
He's good.
Yeah.
Tate McMillan from Arizona, he's really good. It's early to say that for Ryan Williams. We'll see where we get by the end of the year. But goddamn, dude, that the springiness, the ability to do a catch, a full speed twirl, land on your feet, have your complete orientation about you and already be running full speed, and then the open field vision, the feeling for leverage. I mean, just elite traits at 17 years old, dominating one of the best defenses in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say much more than that.
And the confidence.
I mean, dude is
maybe I'm buying too much into the hype. I've seen a lot of his hype videos the past couple of days of him, he's doing some funny TikToking that goes right into his highlights. The dude, that was probably one of the greatest plays I've seen all year, maybe even I've ever seen.
How about him changing his profile picture after dismantling Georgia Bulldogs to Michael Vick and a dog? That was wild. That was crazy. I said,
reel it in.
Bad PR. But damn, was that crazy? That was insane, man. I don't know. That was just crazy to me. I don't know. But no. We appreciate you guys asking us about Alabama. As you guys know, me and Evan here are two huge Alabama Crimson Tide fans, and it was great seeing Coach Saban in there just smiling, and it was great. It was great, man. This kid is 17 years old, and he's just
I hadn't heard that.
He's
before.
17 years old, man.
I said I hadn't heard that before.
Oh, well, he was 17.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, shut up. But
I'm fucking with you.
It's crazy what he's doing, man. It's crazy what he's doing. We appreciate the question. Let's get to some of these questions. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notification. Daniel, let's get to some of these questions.
We'll go back to the beginning of the show. Chad Walter said, can we blitz Lamar and still keep him contained? So overall, what's your thought process on how that scheme works? Blitzing and can keep him contained.
When I say blitz, I don't mean go crazy. I mean, kind of have a pressured spy almost. It's what we've seen them do with Lamar in the past a little bit. It's a guy that's designated to spy Lamar Jackson. He's playing a little closer to the line of scrimmage. And then you basically clog up lanes that you think Lamar Jackson is essentially looking to take before he, jets. You want to make Lamar Jackson hesitate. You want to make him stand in the pocket and feel like, God damn, I've got nowhere to go. Right. So basically, if you're watching Lamar Jackson play, there's a way in which you can have a spy that's sort of like the blitzing spy. But what happens if a guy's standing in the pocket for a while? That defensive line starts to close in. That guy, that spy, that pressured spy guy that you're looking for is essentially just clogging up that right lane Lamar Jackson might take in, where Lamar Jackson's looking to take it. He's like, nope, I can't do that. Patting the ball, which allows time for Trey Hendrickson, which allows time for Sam Hubbard, which allows time for some of these guys to really start to kind of just close in on Lamar Jackson. And either one of two things are going to happen. Lamar Jackson is going to get sacked and try to get out of it. And whether he pushes the play all the way to the right or all the way to the left or whatever the case may be, you're basically making that guy uncomfortable, but something's going to give. That guy is a pressured blitzer, essentially. That's what his job is. But majority of what he's just going to do is just simply take away running lanes from Lamar Jackson and make life hell on him. Sorry, I got really, really detailed, but that's
I'm just over here probably thinking a little too outside the box.
I want to hear. I just want y'all to know, me and Evan are both football minds. Like before COVID, I was coaching. Just so y'all know, I was coaching football, and I'm a defensive guy through and through. So like, I like to do weird shit personally with my guys when I had the opportunity to work with them.
So I like that thought.
Yeah.
We talked about how so much of the passing game for
Yeah.
the Ravens is predicated on play action, underneath action, screen game. Is kind of just quick game as an extension. Having that kind of, usually Rover is more of a safety than a linebacker, but having a like defender in the box, just with eyes on the bar, clogging up passing lanes, like you said there, taking away little drags, just jumping in front of them, messing up the timing of the throws a little bit. Some of the underneath little hooks and stuff like that, just kind of clouding that up, just dropping back and kind of following Lamar's eyes, like you said, playing peekaboo back there. Who'd be great for that? Who
played that role last year too?
Who'd be great for that role, Malik? Who do you think? Who do you think would be great?
Jordan Battle.
I think Jordan Battle would be pretty damn. And also, who has the speed,
Jordan
and the
Battle.
tackling ability to keep up with Lamar there? I think Akeem Davis-Gaither hitting the field and doing that a little bit could be good too, man.
It needs to be a person. Listen, Jordan Battle, Tyson Anderson. There's a lot of guys I'm looking at right now that I say, but more so Jordan Battle, I think fits that role to a T. You've got, that's the beautiful thing about this Bengals defense. You have guys that you sort of feel like you feel like you can mix and match. You feel like you can change it up on Lamar Jackson, because Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are a team that kind of pick up on things and they're like, okay, this is what they're doing. This is who that guy. Somebody put an interesting comment in here. I personally think it's just a little bit too much for him too early on, but somebody said John Meta. Why not put John Meta in there as that? I just think that's a little too much personally.
Very big liability in coverage, and he was very aggressive in terms of his run fits, to where sometimes you over pursue or sometimes you hit the wrong run fit. I think he was very encouraging in preseason. I'm not about to throw him out and have him try and dissect play action and defend quick game and all that.
Somebody said Dejon Anthony. Listen, I like Dejon. I like Dejon better in coverage. I like Dejon better in coverage. I'm taking Dejon Anthony. I'm saying, yo, Dejon, do me a favor. Go out there, cover Mark Andrews.
You're going to be in the box against 12 personnel, 21. They're putting 2 tight ends and Patrick Ricard back there. Like you need to be a little, you need a little more sand in the pants if you're going to play in the box.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Battle is perfect for this game. Personally, I think he can really create havoc. But again, for me as a defensive minded guy, I'm telling that you want a smart guy. Jordan Battle is a smart player. You want a guy that's like, hey, and that's not to say anybody else who I mentioned isn't, but Jordan Battle is a guy that he's tasked with all. He played on Saban's, defense.
If you've played multiple spots in Saban's defense, you know what the fuck you're doing.
And so basically, again, pressurized spy. This guy's a pressured spy, essentially. Your job is to simply clog up the running lanes, make Lamar hold the ball. You are essentially going to be huge for guys like Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard and Miles Murphy, and insert whatever defensive line player. But that's a play style that I think is very crucial to beating a Lamar Jackson. You want to basically just, again, make life hell on him, make him suffocate him essentially in there, man, and make him feel uncomfortable at all times. That doesn't mean you get crazy. Doesn't mean you say, hey, I got a chance to sack Lamar. Don't go for it unless you know you got a chance to sack Lamar Jackson, but you just simply just close it in, close in. It's almost like you ever seen Friday the 13th, dun, 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 or Michael Myers, whatever the hell it was.
That's Michael Myers.
You just know what's coming in. You know what's coming. It's like, oh, snap. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Up, we got him. That's the game you got to play. You ever seen a cat go after a mouse? That's what you got to do.
Yeah, and I'd be curious just to stay on that for 2 seconds. Evan, if you can check last year how Jordan Battle's grades were, because if you guys want to look at his best career game, last year he had 12 tackles against the Ravens. 12. And I remember that game was multiple third downs. Lamar Jackson heading to the outside. Who was the one that caught him? It was Jordan Battle. And when I tell you that was his best career game, that was by far. That was the first game that really put him on the map last year. So I'd be curious to see how he did last year.
That was his first start. It was 10 tackles, 5 defensive stops, 2 receptions allowed on 2 targets for just 10 yards. So yeah, he did really well. That was his first starting action, and he didn't miss a tackle he missed 1 tackle out of the next 5 weeks. Like, that's something they could use. He is an extremely good tackler. He is competent in coverage, can play free safety, strong safety. That's, again, goes back to, he has the intelligence.
Right.
I know he knows it. He started for them last year. He played well. And now you're telling me he just can't even get on the field. Like, he is regressed to such a degree that he just can't even be on the field for more than a throwaway snap. Like, I have so much trouble believing that. I got to believe there's more going on there.
Yeah,
completely. So we can get to the next question. This is a little bit about defense formations. Do the Bengals play a 5-2? And I guess that goes more to the point of, would you guys run heavy packages on the defense to stop the Ravens?
I've seen them play 5-2 in the past.
They did against Carolina opening drive. Yeah.
But I feel like they have a multiple. They're more of a multiple defense. We've literally seen them change over time. It's
They've
not
had to be.
They've had to be, right? Because of whatever. Yeah, that's my thoughts.
But yeah, I would expect them to roll that out. Maybe, I don't think it's going to be their base. Maybe, 5 to 10 snaps in short yardage situations. But the more encouraging thing is, like I said, it's not going to be Lawrence Guy and Jay Tufele and Zach Carter. It's going to be Chris Jenkins. It's going to be BJ Hill. And hopefully, maybe that's the 5 to 10 snaps that McKinley Jackson plays in his first game back. Maybe that's Sam Hubbard kicks inside and plays one of those 3 defensive tackles where you have Chris Jenkins, BJ Hill, and Sam Hubbard, and then Miles Murphy on the edge.
One thing I want to shout out, Cedric Johnson. This guy's starting to come along. Miles Murphy back in the fold. I think we started to see less Sam Hubbard on the edge. We started to see him.
Yes.
I think we started to see those guys sort of take snaps away. Very curious to see if Trey Hendrickson's a full go on Sunday. But definitely you want that guy as healthy as possible. But yeah, I like the emergence of a guy like Cedric Johnson. I like the return of Miles Murphy to the fold. Things should look a little different. And again, I'll keep saying it. Chris Jenkins needs more snaps. I think what we've seen from him, he had a critical stop against Carolina.
The beginning of the game.
Critical, that which would set the tone for it, honestly. And I think that more of him, and Luke kind of talked about it with Kelsey, I believe. He's really starting to learn, get more get more trust with this Bengals coaching staff. So Chris Jenkins is a guy that I believe in wholeheartedly.
And that's not a fluke, right? Yeah. That was arguably one of the biggest plays of the game.
Well, he did this at Michigan.
Yeah.
He did this at Michigan. And he wasn't, I'm sorry, Danny. I keep feeling like
I
feel like I'm very intense this show.
No, I like it.
I keep talking about from a coaching standpoint, all this stuff. But Chris Jenkins is a guy that he showed this at Michigan. He just happened to be playing on a very talented Michigan defensive line where he wasn't able to be used in a full-time role. I think Chris Jenkins has, and I talked about this on the pre-draft shows and all this stuff like that. I feel like Chris Jenkins has untapped pass rush potential too. But I think that that answer people kept saying, oh, let's replace DJ Reader. Let me start off by saying there is no really replacing DJ Reader, but I think this guy is the closest on this team to being able to do everything that DJ Reader did, but also be able to rush the pass rusher. His energy, his high motor ability. This guy is it. I really believe in. I believe in him.
Yes, completely. And I think maybe this might just be me, but I buy into family lineage of having success in the NFL. And obviously his father was a great player. I'm totally bought into Chris Jenkins. I think he's going to have a great rest of the season. Hude MD and a couple other people were asking about the offensive line. Am I the only one worried about the offensive line depth? Let's say if another person were to go down, are you guys worried?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think every team in the NFL is worried about their O-line depth. For sure. Hopefully it wouldn't be for any long-term issue. Hopefully it would just be Cody Ford coming in for a couple games, like worst comes to worst. Right. The advantage now is that you don't have to just rely on shotgun and empty and true drop back. And now they have to come back in one of the most difficult to block for passing offenses. Now you have the play action game. Now you have the under center game. Now you have the 12 personnel. You have various ways that you can kind of help your offensive line much like the 49ers
Mhm.
do, much like the Ravens have done. You have this run game and this play action game and this heavy personnel that you can rely on to where it's not as difficult as, hey, Joe Burrow is going to drop back there and hang back there for 2.5 to 3 seconds and take a 5 to 7 step drop. You have to protect him for that entire time. It's much different in that sense. So I think it's probably a little bit easier of an assignment than it has been in years past.
So we get a question. We could talk about special teams real quick. Tyrone Tracy, our guy, or Thomas said, "Why was DJ Turner?" I know. I was thinking of Giants.
That's a good one.
That's a
good one. That's a good. I was like,
that's
wait, who? Don't we know what Tyrone Tracy?
No, that's where my mind went. Tyrone Thomas said, "Why was DJ Turner taking punt returns in practice? Is something up with Charlie Jones? And also, what you guys thoughts Ryan Rico so far? He's making headlines."
We were just having that discussion a little before the show started. We don't know what the thought process with DJ Turner was there. We recommend not putting your, premium pick you invested in the cornerback position at punt returner when, that guy was starting to show some promise at the cornerback spot. That's just my thoughts. But in terms of Ryan Rico, oh, he's been a beast. He's been the best punter in the league, statistically speaking.
Right.
It's crazy. It's literally crazy how there's no rhyme or science to this, right? This is a guy that literally got beat out in Kansas City to Matariza.
Well, it was all consistency,
Yeah.
right? Because he had his opportunity at
Yeah.
first, and then Brad Robbins got hurt. If Brad Robbins doesn't get hurt, he's probably like Ryan Rico might not be the starter right now.
Right.
But in the past couple of weeks, he has shown that consistency. He has showed up.
Yeah,
and that's
you look at it, right? That guy has boomed to 80-yard punt. He's doing so many crazy, and he's being consistent. But I also think maybe I think it's all about feeling comfortable in your own skin and feeling comfortable. Number one, you're in a punting battle for the two-time defending Super Bowl champ, back-to-back Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs, and you're going up against a guy that they literally call punt god. That could cause some people to be like, maybe I'm not as good as I think. Maybe, I don't know. That's just maybe my thought process. Maybe it made him a little uncomfortable with some things. And again, you come to Cincinnati, you get cut, obviously, and then you probably take on, the biggest thing you're fearful of is everybody's like, I don't want to get cut. You finally get cut, and it's like, oh, shit. And then you're like, all right, well, I've got no other choice. I'm either going to suck it up and, latch on to another team, or I'm going to be bagging groceries or doing whatever. And that guy got a chance to go from battling punt god in Kansas City to battling Brad Robbins in Cincinnati. And he had every opportunity to win the job. And Brad Robbins got hurt, and he went out there and he's crushing it right now. I don't think Kansas City's regretting their decision necessarily that they made, but Brad Robbins has been a weapon for the Bengals. And that's amazing when you can literally talk about your punter being a weapon and flipping field position, because that's something that the Bengals haven't had good punting in Cincinnati, I'll be honest with you guys, for probably the last 4 or 5 seasons. It's been bad. We held on to Kevin Huber a little bit too long.
I was going to say maybe like the second to last year of Kevin Huber was probably.
Yeah. And then you had Drew Chrisman. And then you had Brad Robbins. It's been rough for Cincinnati for maybe the last 5 years. And now finally you're hoping you finally have some stability there. And you know what's crazy? I still think Brad Robbins could be something in this league somewhere else. I just think that, it didn't work out in Cincinnati for whatever reason.
Completely. So we got a question from Evan Shuck. This was from earlier on in the show. Expectations on Chase Brown and Mike Gesicki. I know we talked about him, but what's your expectations for them this week?
I think we kind of talked about it in the prop section a little bit. I would expect Chase Brown and just the overall team rushing production to take a step back this week, just because of how well the Ravens have played the run, first in EPA per play allowed per rush, third in EPA per rush allowed, first in success rate allowed versus the rush. So they have been through and through one of the best, even against really talented offensive lines, even against really good running backs. So I would expect Chase Brown to maybe just have a little bit less impact of the week in rushing in terms of rushing yards, but maybe in passing game, he gets a little bit more involved as they try and air it out a little bit, or at least I would expect them to against them. You want to take the Gesicki fan club president, Mr. President?
Well, listen,
Mr. President.
I mean, y'all already know what I think, man.
2 touchdowns.
Mike Gesicki is a guy, and he needs to be unlocked here in Cincinnati. He didn't come here to be regulated to a couple of snaps. He came here to really help revive his career. Utilize that talent. Utilize him when you got him. And to Matt Heisman's question, I asked you about Robbins when they took him off IR, and I know why you didn't respond now, LOL. Yeah, I mean, it was all about roster gymnastics. If they would have cut him while he was on IR, I believe they would have had to give him an injury settlement, and you had to unfortunately use one of your return, designated injury returns, whatever it was called. And it cost them one for the season that they had, but it was.
I think if they cut him too
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
calling him back up
Mhm.
and activating him, then he couldn't return to the practice squad
Yeah.
if they wanted it. So yeah, it was a whole bunch of
It's a lot that went into
yeah.
it.
It's roster stuff more than
Yeah.
it is like, oh, we
Yeah.
like the guy.
Yeah,
No, we
there
don't
was-
like the
there-
guy. No, we do like the
Yeah,
guy. You know.
I'll be honest with y'all. Once Ryan Rico, was told to me once Ryan Rico had the performance he had, obviously the season opener, and then I think it was week 2 as well. He pretty much had the job wrapped up. He would have had to have a colossal fail in order to no longer be the punter here in Cincinnati. So Ryan Rico was brought in because of consistency issues with the rest of the guys, and it always felt like Brad Robbins was going to lose his job. It was just a matter of who he's going to lose the job to.
Mhm.
We thought it was going to be McNamara at one point in time. That didn't work out, and now they got the kid in here, Ryan Rico, to really do some special things, and now they're feeling good about it. But look, that's all the time that we got here for our episode of State of the Jungle. We want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode here. Make sure you guys give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content. We'll be back here live tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time for another episode of the Sit Down with Malik Wright morning show, as well as Friday for fantasy footballs. And then I'll be live like I am after every single Bengals game, getting us all squared away. I want to also wish our co-host Logan Fulmer a happy belated birthday.
Yes,
brother.
sir.
It was this past Friday. We appreciate you, my man. You're an integral part of everything that we do. No, you couldn't be on the show today because you're busy going out there trying to, become a coach in the NFL, coaching your guys up over at Scott High School. And we wish you guys the absolute best, my man. But wanted to wish you a happy belated birthday. And I want to wish my other co-host, Evan, an upcoming happy birthday, my man. We really appreciate you, man. You are the guy here on the show. We appreciate you, my man. And when I first asked you to come out of retirement, yeah, he was retired.
Had
No, he
to
really
shave
was.
he came into my log cabin in the
Yeah.
woods and kicked open the door. I
Mm.
turned around with big
Yeah.
scraggly beard down to
Yeah.
my belly. You
And
said, we need you back.
I said, this is only a job one person can do. No, man, but
So you son of a bitch, I'm in.
And literally, we created a powerhouse of the show called State of the Jungle. And guys, we're 2 years in, 3 years. It's our third year. This is our third year. Time flies when you're having fun. And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't even feel like State of the Jungle has hit its full potential in what we're going to do. Some of the stuff we're going to do. We really want to bring live shows to Cincinnati. There's so much stuff that we want to do. A lot of things in the works that we had planned, but we said, you know what, we probably want to wait until the, probably next season just to fully have everything in a row. But yeah, Danny, go ahead.
Game prediction. I'm sorry. Just some people were asking if you want to do
Oh,
a quick
goodness.
score prediction at all, unless we want to.
Football will be played on
There you
Sunday
go.
called AFC North football. And Joe Burrow will play the quarterback position against two-time MVP Lamar Jackson. And it'll be a game. Evan, same thoughts on that?
Yeah. Let's just say 24-21.
Who?
I'm not going to say.
Nah.
I'm going to leave that open. It could be the Bengals. It could be the Ravens. We'll see.
Man, we're just getting started on the show. We appreciate y'all for tuning in each and every single week. We appreciate y'all for joining in on the giveaways and all the awesome stuff we do. Remember, we have content coming out on this channel each and every single day. Hopefully, I see you guys back here tomorrow morning where we talk some football. Wake up with me, talk with me. And until next time, who day?
So kick back, relax, the TWSN.